who do I get to become in the process of my life journey?
Wow.
What do I get to embody? Not the stuff we accumulate, not the titles, but what energy do I give off?
She was the founder of the organic pharmacy. She was a wife. She was a mother. She was this, she was that. And then when I got divorced and I sold my business, and then it was like, it was all gone. And then suddenly it was like, well, what good am I? What's my purpose? Who am I? Where do I belong? I'm nothing.
Were you always good at surrendering?
No.
Because I struggle with that.
So much struggle.
I love to control.
Focus on the right now. Focus on this moment. What does Mimi need right now? And I mean, Jesus said, do not be anxious for tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own issues. It's not a thinking, it's a knowing.
Welcome to Mimi Ikonn podcast. Today I have a very special guest, my inspiration, my dear friend, Margot Marrone.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
I am honored to have you here. I feel like today will be podcast part 1 because even before you arrived, I was thinking in my head, I want to talk to you about faith. I want to talk to you about love, motherhood. There's so many ways that I'm inspired by how you embody your presence as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a human being. And I feel like today we'll just do part 1 and then we'll go deeper the next time. But I just want to again thank you for your time and presence, for being here. I call you the pioneer woman, and not just in your career. I think it's in the way you view life, in the way you live your life, in the way you embody your truth. This is what I find the most inspiring. And here at Mimi Ikonn Podcast, what I like to do, of course, it's nice to know what a person that I'm talking to have done in their life. All these things we have all done are great and inspiring and admirable. But I think what is most special to me, and as I reflect on my life and my journey, is who do I get to become in the process of my life journey? What do I get to embody? Not the stuff we accumulate, not the titles, but what energy do I give off? What do I represent? And you represent this love, unconditional love, which is the highest form of love, kindness, compassion, and peace.
Wow.
And again, this is very admirable. And anyone can say anything, right, about who they are, but energy doesn't lie.
Energy doesn't lie. It's so true, Mimi.
So from the moment I met you, it's just how I feel when I'm in your presence.
Wow.
And that's why I'm really excited to go deep with you. I think we can start more on your journey, maybe just a little for anyone who's listening, who's not familiar with your journey. Again, I mentioned that you're a pioneer woman, but just a little background about where you come from, where you were raised, and a little bit about your journey in what you have done in terms of your career, because I think that is so special as well, and we should cover that part.
Well, firstly, thank you for that incredible introduction. I don't really know what to say to that, except right back at you.
Thank you.
It's interesting you say that, because that's not how I've always felt. So my journey began, I was born in Iran, came here just before the revolution, 77, and so blessed to live in a country where anything is possible. There are no restrictions. You can literally create the life that you want. So for me, it was always about healing. For some reason, it was always about healing, and spirituality was a big part of my life ever since I was a child. Because I remember the question, where do we come from? Who am I? Who created me? Why is there evil? Why is there good? I couldn't understand it, and I needed to understand it. And I think that's the journey that really I followed, really. And I say I found the answers, and I'm still a student, still trying to learn, but it's through that spiritual journey, because I always knew there was something beyond the physical. There's the unseen. And I knew it existed. I was fascinated with the supernatural. What is it? Where does it come from? How does it work? And so my career, if you like, started when I was 15. I got my first job, local farmers. Thought, what is this? What are they doing there? And it was very old-fashioned back in the day. So they had lots of different herbs, brown bottle, and the value of service. So my boss taught me we serve people who come in. That's our job. And I always remember that. So for me, it was always an act of service. And so I went on to study pharmacy, pharmacology, specialized in herbs, then thought, this is all nonsense. We don't get better through drugs. We get worse. And I'm not saying that medicine doesn't have a part, but I could see the flaws and the problems it caused. And so that led me to think, okay, well, then what is the answer? How can we get healing? And that's when I discovered homeopathy. And for the first time, that disease forms in the mind through our emotions and our thought. And I was like, but that's not what I've been taught. I've been told you have a symptom, you treat it. How can disease form in the mind? And that really is something that has taken me right to the 3 years ago when I read the Bible for the first time. And it says, your mind is the source of it all. And so here we are today. So during that, obviously I formed the organic pharmacy because there was so much that was wrong with the industry, so much that was wrong. And I was, one of those little, I always felt like a little tiny ant in the middle of a field full of giants. And, what difference can I make? What difference can I do? But when you have that conviction and that belief system, you just flow in it and you do whatever you can. And you're like this little lone voice that stands up for the truth. And you'll say, but there are chemicals that are making us ill. There's chemicals in our water. There's chemicals in our medicine. There's chemicals in our cosmetics. There's chemicals everywhere. And it's making us ill. So why don't we just stop using them? And that was, you have to have passion when you start your own business, as you know, especially when it goes against the mainstream, because you have to fight for it. And the only thing that will get you through that fight is your passion and your belief and your strength.
What gave you the courage to do something that was, at that point in time, was like 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was 30
unheard
years
of.
ago.
Yeah, nobody knew about organic skincare then.
I call it my crazy Iranian gene.
I love it. I also have Iranian background. My great-grandfather is from Iran.
It's called the crazy Iranian gene. And that's like, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I love it.
And so, but there are moments when you feel threatened because the enemy uses fear and threats to shut you down. But when you know the truth and you stand in the truth, it's easier to fight. And so you do it even though you're afraid. I think that's the key. There's a saying, isn't there? Jump and the net will appear. So that's always been my philosophy. I'm going to jump and the net will appear. And it always has.
Such a courageous woman. And I remember the story because I'm friends with your daughter, Rox, who is a big girl now, not a baby. But you shared some of the stories when we were in a panel together. And I thought that is so sweet how when you first founded Organic Pharmacy, you would take your kids to the shop with you.
Yeah.
And they were there on the floor helping you sell. And that is the truth and reality, especially as a woman, of being for men as well, who are very involved fathers, but for us women who are, generally speaking, are in charge more than the man of, taking care of the children.
Yeah.
If you have a dream and you want to go after it, you can't just drop your kids.
You can't. Yeah, you take them everywhere with you. And for me, it was like, okay, they're my kids. This is my business. I can take them if I want. And my customers loved it because they were also mothers with kids. And so when they saw me with my kids, we identified. And that's how it became a community. And that's what I loved so much, so much. And it was great. At the time, I didn't really realize the impact that I had on Roxy and on my son, Maxie. But I can see in Roxy now the impact that it had, and the thing that just because you're a mother, you don't have to stop working. There's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mum, not at all. But if you have the passion and the drive, don't let anything stop you. It's tough. You know that already. It's tough, but listen.
So tough.
We make it work. We make it work.
Yeah. And like you said, from her observing your journey, you living in your truth, you stepping in your power, facing your fears, I'm sure failing many times along the way.
Many times.
Because any business is going to have ups and downs.
So many mistakes.
And in the end, standing in your power.
Yeah.
Not giving up.
So you have to have the passion.
It's not what we tell our children. It's
what we do.
Again, what we embody, who we show up as every single day.
Exactly. That's it. Like you are what's the word for it? You are
an advocate.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can read your mind.
For your daughter. She's like, I see my mum and this is what she does. And so throughout that journey, she'll understand that anything is possible. There are no restrictions. She can do anything. And that's always been my belief. You can do anything. Anyone can do anything.
And Roxy is such a mature, inspiring lighthouse.
Wow,
love
she's just
her.
amazing. She teaches me so much every day and she inspires me so much every day. And, you know, we've obviously started our new venture together.
Yeah, tell us more about it.
And at the beginning, it was a challenge because, you know, we were like, and I was like, okay.
To a strong woman.
This is how you learn. So, you know, you go forward, you make mistakes, both of us. And now we've reached a place of perfect harmony. And I'm so grateful for that because it's an absolute joy to work with her.
How do you reach a point of perfect harmony with your partner? Whether it is, you know, your family member, in your case it is, which I feel like is even more difficult.
It is difficult. Respect. Respect and boundaries. So when you see the other person crossing a boundary that you're not okay with, you share that with them and you say, listen, but you have to share it from a place of love, not defense. Because as soon as you become defensive, they also become defensive. And then you're going at it from attacking each other. But when you say, listen, I just want to say that I don't really like the way you spoke to me yesterday and I found it disrespectful. I know you didn't mean it, but let's not do that. And vice versa. We both learn how to communicate because with family, you know how difficult it is. You say what you think and sometimes it can be hurtful. So you have to, and I've been through that with my husband when we had the business together. We crossed boundaries that we weren't able to come back from. And once that happens, it's over.
You burn the bridge.
You burn the bridge and there's no, and I mean, we were talking about star signs earlier. Taurians can handle a lot, but when it gets to that point,
yeah, I have a lot of Tauruses in my life. Also, my ex-husband Alex and my father as well.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I've learned that as much as I love Tauruses, the shadow side could be that explosion of repressed anger.
Exactly. So it's always good to share, and of course, through spiritual practices and transformation of the mind, you're able to walk in love and peace and joy, and also, you know, step back and say, wait, before I say anything. So now when I see someone angry, I don't take it personally. I look at them and I say, are you okay? And then suddenly they're like, oh, wait, what just happened? And then they start to share with, I'm not feeling well today, or I don't know, something upset me or whatever happened. And then you diffuse the situation.
So beautiful.
And you're able to walk in love.
What other people do is always a projection of what they're going through, right?
Exactly.
Never
we don't
about
know
us.
what that is. We don't know what people have, what morning they've had, what afternoon they've had. And sometimes it's difficult, Mimi.
Oftentimes
walking in that
difficult.
love. We always have to constantly remind ourselves, okay, what have they been through? And take a step back and think, okay, what's going on? And then when you move yourself out of the situation, you see what's going on, then it's so much easier to walk in love.
And then you get to choose who you are again, right? Even if someone is attacking you or irritating you or triggering you, especially when you're triggered, because that's when you get tested the most. So I find, especially recently, it happens to me in the mornings when I have to rush Alexa. Because, you know, kids, they don't like to be rushed, but we have to get to school on time. And I found myself getting really irritated. And I don't know why I'm sharing this, but I feel like a lot of people who are listening, if they have children or in any situation, will relate, is that I would get annoyed and then I would like not raise my voice, but be like just triggered, talk in an annoyed voice. And then I just caught myself and I thought, you know what I thought? I said, I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy being this version of myself. And I think that ability to be aware that what we're doing and how we're acting or showing up is not making us feel good. Because at the end of the day, we live in our body. Only we get to experience ourselves. And I thought to myself, honestly, it doesn't matter if we're late. I let go. Because whether I get annoyed or I don't get annoyed, I get irritated, we're still going to get there on the same time.
Right.
I've noticed now historically it doesn't make a difference. So I'm just going to relax and be the most loving and kind version of myself. And it's not easy.
No, I
There are
know.
mornings where I still get triggered, but it's just that conscious choice that I will go from a place of love. In the grand scheme of things, the outcome doesn't matter so much as who I get to be.
Well, you said something so important.
Yeah.
Aware. When you're aware, but most of us are not aware. And we walk in a state of delusion where we think what we're doing is perfectly fine and it's everyone else. As soon as you stop that, and the other thing that you said, which was so important, you let go of the outcome. What was the first thing you said? Awareness and attachment. You let go, you become aware, you let go of the attachment.
Absolutely.
And your life just flows.
In every way.
In every way. And so I often say to my son, listen, you really put me through it when you were little. Because he was the same. So always late for school, always late for everything, always. And now he comes and wakes me up like 6:30 in the morning. Mom, Mom. And I'm like, why couldn't you do this when you were 6, 7? But it is what it is, right?
Absolutely.
And they get to where they need to be when they're ready in their own time and their own space.
Yeah, I think,
and that's the beauty of it.
Like letting go of that perfection.
Exactly.
I think for most of us, that is a big thing.
All attachment. If we let go of the outcome of everything, then it is a most beautiful journey. It's that outcome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, we all need it.
We all need it.
I'm so curious because you've been able to achieve great financial success on your journey. I think for anyone listening, it's quite inspiring. What do you have to say? How much of it, and especially because now we mentioned letting go of attachment, having aware, how much of it is setting intention that you have this big dream, you want to build this company, or maybe you're providing some sort of anything, right? In any way, maybe somebody's an actress or a singer. Whatever we do, we have this dream. We go after the dream with courage, with boldness, with hard work. At which point do you feel there's some sort of magic that happens in the process as you reflect back on your journey? Because you have quite a few years to reflect back on. Can you tell us if there's a recipe for success?
Actually, I can.
Tell me.
And I've only just realized what the recipe is. I've always done it, but without knowing I was doing it. So, can I explain this in a simple way? It works from the spiritual down, not the other way around. Most people think if they hustle, they'll get it done, but that's not how it works. So we have to start with the unseen, which then manifests itself into our words and then manifests itself into our actions, not the other way around. So first you have to start with a dream. And what is your dream? What is the purpose of your dream? And then you start to think it and visualize it. By visualize, I don't mean, you know how it is. You start to think, oh, I can see this and I can see that and I will do it like this. There starts to form this vision in your mind. And then when that happens, you then put it on paper. And then you start to think, okay, it's going to look like this. It's going to, you formalize it on paper. And then you start to do. And then at that stage, when you've put it on paper and you start to do the action, then if you're lucky, you get destiny helpers. And why shouldn't you be lucky? Now I know, well, let's put it this way. If we go back to Genesis chapter 1, God thought it, spoke it, and created it. It's the same process that we are using. It's the process of creation. And that is the secret. You first in your mind, but to do that, you also need to have a connection. So in order to get that creativity, which ultimately always comes from God, you have to have silent time. You have to have alone time. So for me, the way I do is I walk. I walk and ideas just come. And sometimes my ideas are so crazy that I think, how on earth am I going to do that? How am I going to do it? And then you don't need to start from the beginning and see the end. You take baby steps. You just do step 1, step 2, step 3, but you just do it. So that's the secret and of course, when you're in it, you have to be in it. You can't then go and do something else and then focus on something else. That's your creation. Even if you take a pot of flour, when you water it and nourish it and love it, it grows. And that's the same with, it's a spiritual thing. Whatever you focus on and love and nourish will grow, but it needs your attention. So, I always say to the 9 to 5, if you just want to do that, then you have to be careful, because creation is not a 9 to 5. It's an ongoing thing. And some days it might be 10 hours, some days might be 2 hours, but it's whatever your creation needs. That's the secret. And it's the mindset. Even when it's so scary and your bank account is empty and you're thinking, where am I going to get the money? How am I going to do this? You just do it anyway. I remember in the first year of my business, when we opened the organic pharmacy, I hired an accountant, and he came to me and he said, listen, I'm going to just give you some advice. You're a pharmacist, right? I said, yeah. He said, you could go out and work as a pharmacist and earn much more money than you are now. Because, beginning of a business is hard. He said, my advice to you is close out and go and get a job. I said, you're fired.
I love it.
Because it really hurt me.
Yeah.
His words really hurt
Yeah.
me. And at that moment, I had the choice. Do I accept or do I reject? And so I rejected his words, which was a curse. So, we have to be really careful who we surround ourselves with, what they speak to us and what we accept. And we have to say, okay, thank you, but no thank you. I know what I'm doing. And then you cancel those and you say, I'm going to walk in my dream. I'm going to walk in my... And yes, it's hard, but you do it anyway.
Look where you are today. I love this story. I love that. There's so many things that you've said that I absolutely can resonate with.
Yeah.
A is that you said you need to be in it when you go after your dream. I find that I'm someone who has a lot of different visions, and I do realize that that's not enough sometimes. You can have a vision, you can even bring it to the paper, but then you have to be in it every single day for a period of time. It's like planting the seed and watering it and making sure it gets enough sunlight, all of that, right? Because if you do it for a couple of weeks, a month, even sometimes a year, it's not enough time. You need more time to stay with it. And I think this is what people struggle with. They wait, they like uncover the earth to see, is the seed growing? But if you do that also, like, you need the patience, you need to stick with it.
Yeah. And as well as I do, Mimi, even when you're successful, you still get tribulations.
Absolutely.
And problems. So it's not like, okay, I'm successful and I don't need to worry about this anymore or that anymore. That's not the case. New problems come constantly.
New challenges.
New challenges, new issues. This went wrong, that went wrong. And you just need to address them. It's just that you have a bigger team to do it at that point, which in itself is a challenge.
True. That's a whole different thing. But to your point of being careful who you surround yourself with, I think this, again, is a reason why many people don't go after their dreams.
Yes.
Is because they listen to their environment and circle.
Yeah.
If you want to go after something that no one in your circle has, including people that you've hired, you can't really trust their judgment.
You can't.
You can only listen. I always say this to everyone, right? If you need relationship advice, financial advice, any kind of advice, go to a person who is successful at it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to relationship advice from someone who's only had unhealthy, unsuccessful relationships.
Yeah.
Really be aware.
Yeah.
So if you need entrepreneurship advice, you need to listen to an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Not someone who is an employee himself, because his top value is safety and security. Yours is clearly not.
Yeah. And also, nobody knows your vision. Only you know your vision. Only you can see it. Sure, you can explain it to someone, but ultimately you have to trust your own intuition. And I have to tell you, the number of times I didn't trust that and I listened to someone else were my biggest mistake.
Let's talk about intuition. How can one cultivate a better relationship with that? Because I feel like I'm on that journey of cultivating better and better relationship with my intuition. I never realized until the last couple of years when I decided to end my relationship that really it was not a logical decision. It was more an intuitive decision. And then I reflected back on my whole life and I realized Actually, I've been doing this all along, just very subconsciously. I've made a lot of irrational decisions, like moving to a different country, quitting a job when I was making good money.
Yeah.
And it felt like the safe job because intuitively I was like, I need to go on a different path. I don't know why, but I just know in my body that I need this path, not that path.
Yeah.
But I'm still learning to trust it because the mind can take over and say, what the F are you doing?
Well, anything that comes from fear is generally not intuition. So intuition is something that you know is right. And if I'm going to choose a different word for intuition, it would be the Holy Spirit. So intuition really is the Holy Spirit speaking to us. Go and do this. Don't do that. And our job is to understand and follow that advice, because that advice comes from the high. It comes from the highest source. And so it's for our good, because there is a bigger plan. Like you have a huge part to play in your future. I don't know what your future is, but I know that it's something big that's going to change many, many lives. And that's so you need to follow that, because you will help so many people on their paths. It's very, very important. So keep focused on that and follow that direction, no matter what the other voice says. So every time you hear the other voice, you say, get out. You have no space with me, and you just follow the Holy Spirit. And then you will see that destiny helpers will come, people will come, and it's just sifting out those types of people, those types of situations, those types of thoughts, because really we were created not to have that. So any negative thoughts do not belong to us. They belong to the outside. And so our job is to work to renew our minds into positive thoughts. And that's not some kind of new age thing. It's genuinely our minds need to be positive every day. I don't mean like you're not allowed to be sad, but don't be there too long. Move along quickly and swiftly into a positive state of mind, because that brings you closer to God and it allows you to hear the voice of God, which is the most important thing in anyone's life.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes,
how do you personally know when you're on the right path?
First of all, you'll have that feeling. And then the Creator brings you all the destiny helpers. It's truly remarkable. I know you know it.
That's why I asked, because I'm curious if your answer will be similar to what I have personally experienced.
It will come and it will, it's not that it won't be difficult, but it also will not be difficult, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And the one thing you have to remember, everyone needs to remember, God will never give you more than you can handle. So even when you think, I can't handle this, know that you can, because he will never give you more. So he knows what Mimi can handle, and he will give it to you. So the big thing is, don't let yourself limit what God has in store for you. Free it, surrender it. Everything I do now, I surrender. I say, you know what? It's yours. If you want me to do it, I will see. And then it's like, it's great.
Were you always good at surrendering?
No.
Because I struggle with that.
So much struggle.
I love to control.
Yeah, but that's a delusion, because actually we can't control a single thing.
Exactly.
So once you surrender it, it's a delusion. I often give lectures on this. It's like, are you delusional? And the answer is always yes. And when you start with yes, then you can work backwards. So every morning I wake up, and if I'm not quite right, I'll say, okay, what's the delusion today? And then I think, okay, let's look at the delusion. Then I ask my children, am I delusional? Do I need correct? And that's the whole point, is how do we correct ourselves when we're delusional? Because delusion itself is a whole world. And once you get sucked into that, it's like the reality and then the pseudo-reality. And then suddenly the pseudo-reality becomes your reality.
Can you give an example of delusion? Like someone could be going through in their day.
Okay, so
something typical, you know.
Okay, so for example, I can leave here today thinking something negative about you, right? I can sort of say, oh, you know, Mimi, she should have done this and she should have done that. And then I'm going to go home and create this whole world where you did something wrong to me, whereas you didn't do anything wrong. My mind is creating that scenario. And then I start imagining conversations and thoughts that you are having. Like, oh, she's probably thinking this. She's probably talking about me like that. I'm creating this whole world which never existed, does not exist. And all I need to do is come and say, oh, Mimi, is this what you think? And then you say, of course not. That's not what I'm thinking. That's not what. So we create this alternative reality in our minds of what people are thinking, what people are doing, how they're doing it, what they're saying about us, what they're saying about everyone else. And then that whole new reality becomes something. Or the other alternative is we blame someone else. So it's Mimi's fault that all of this happened to me.
Playing the victim role.
We had nothing to do with it. And so when we accept our own role in any situation, that's truth. Illusion is, it's not my fault. I never did that. I don't deserve this. Nonsense, right? It's absolute nonsense. So we just need to step up to the truth and be willing to suffer the pain, short pain, it's only momentarily, and then it's gone. Because who are we to judge? I can't judge you. You can't judge me. Doesn't matter. So the whole idea of you as Mimi Ikonn or me as Margot Marrone is also a delusion, right? Because none of it matters. None of it actually matters. That whole image has to go. And once it's gone, again, it's an attachment. I used to be attached to who Margo Marrone was. So attached to her. She was the founder of the organic pharmacy. She was a wife. She was a mother. She was this, she was that. And then when I got divorced and I sold my business, and then it was like, whoa.
It's like death of the ego. Everything you have known.
Everything,
well,
my identity,
yeah.
It was all gone. And then suddenly it was like, well, what good am I? What's my purpose? Who am I? Where do I belong? I'm nothing. Such a good place to be. But not for long. Then you're like, okay, so who am I really? And the only identity, I think I've said this before, the only identity we need is that we're a child of God. Once we know that's who we are and all we need to be, then the rest of it is blessing after blessing after blessing. And our job is to be thankful, to receive it, and to serve others. That's it. That's how it flows. It's beautiful.
You're saying this, I'm really feeling the authenticity of every single word you share. And you did share with me when we first met over lunch, first time we met at an event, and then we had lunch. And when we had lunch, you talked to me about your path to finding faith.
Yeah.
And how oftentimes we find faith after we go through a very difficult time, such as the death of the ego, when we go through a life transition, or many, sometimes multiple ones in your case, a divorce, selling the company that you ran for and built for 30 years. That was such a big part of your identity.
It was
kids
me.
growing up, slowly starting to leave the nest. That's like multiple transitions. And out of a sudden asking yourself, who am I?
Right.
If I'm not this, this, and that, then
at the age of 55, who am I?
It can be really, really scary.
So scary. It's terrifying. It's like you strip naked and you're like, okay, this is it. There's nothing, there's no mask. There's no, jewelry, clothing, makeup, nothing. You're naked. All titles are gone. Achievements don't matter. None of it matters. And quite often we hide behind our achievements and our success. And even that doesn't matter. And if you don't have a relationship with God and that hole is not filled by God, then all of it is just things. I'm not saying things are not good. I'm very grateful for all the things I have.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't fill the hole. The only thing that fills the hole is God. And once that's filled, then you enjoy it. It's like it opens up a whole new world. And you look at a tree and a flower and a bird just singing. You're like, wow, this is so amazing. It doesn't have to be full of paraphernalia. It's almost you strip it back and you start to notice the small things. And you're so grateful for them. So grateful.
And life, even though it's big, it consists of millions of small things.
Right?
And if we can appreciate the small things, that's why, as you know, I'm such a big advocate for gratitude. Instead of focusing on what we're lacking, if we switch our mindset by embodying this constant appreciation of small conversation here, the flower, the fresh air, like the beautiful buildings. When you
Tiny
arrived, you told me
things.
how on your walk here you enjoyed the
Yeah.
building. You're in this constant state of awe and gratitude. But it all starts again with this conscious choice of
Thank you.
building a relationship with the Creator. So, how did your relationship with faith evolve over time? I thought that was a very interesting story when we first met, and I love that even though this is your path, you're also very accepting of everyone else's path, whatever
Yeah.
they choose, because
Yeah.
you've been there.
I have been there.
You were a yogi, you were a shaman, you did so many things on
I
your
was a white
path.
witch, but I've recently learned there's no white witch, or you're either a witch or you're not. So I think in the pursuit of spirituality, we can get distracted. And I think that not just me, but many people that I speak to, as soon as you mention Christianity, there is an immediate recoil from some people. Oh, the Bible says this, and I don't agree with it, and it's but what I say to them is forget about what you know. Forget about all the preconceived ideas that you have, because that's what I had to do. When I was after the supernatural, I was studying to be a shaman, and I was learning hands-on healing and energetic healing, and it was so complicated. The whole procedures and processes was really, really complicated. And you had to do so many things. And I struggled with it sometimes. And then I met this lady, quite by, of course, nothing is by chance, but there is a story there.
Serendipitously.
Yeah. I met this wonderful lady who started talking about her pastor. And she was saying to me, oh, well, my pastor can go into, he's taught me how to go into dreams and change my dreams and change the outcome. And I said, oh, is your pastor a shaman? She said, no, I don't know what that is. I was like, okay, because that's what you do when you're a shaman. You can go into dreams and do stuff like that. So I said, okay. Then she said, you know, when we do a service, people go flying across the room. I said, well, what tools does he use? Does he use crystals? Does he use, because, you know, all my shamans use tools and crystals, my teachers. She was like, no, he doesn't use anything. He just uses his hands. So I said, I think I'd like to come and see how this is happening. And so I went. I wasn't interested in church. I wasn't interested in religion. I wasn't interested in anything like that because of my past traumas with my own country and religion. I was like, no, religion's not for me. And so I went and it was such a different experience. And at first I was like, you know what? I came, I saw, it's not for me. I was very uncomfortable. So then she said, no, you come back and meet him properly. And the second time I went back with my son. And things just flowed. And I remember just going for 6 months, watching this wonderful man heal people just with his hands. And I'd always believed that the negative entities didn't exist. I didn't believe in Satan. I didn't believe in anything of that nature. I was like, no, there's just negative energy. Very naively, there's just negative energy. And then I see it with my own eyes. People who literally change, their voice changes, their manner changes, they become angry and abusive right in the middle of service. And I'm like, what is going on here? So that is a demon manifesting itself in front of me. And I can't, when I see it, It goes and says, leave him now. And it's gone. And this is what supernatural Christianity is. It's the supernatural in the natural. And when the word of God transforms you, it's something that I can't describe or explain. And that's really, so after being a yogi, after going there, and it was never enough. It never filled that hole until that moment. That's the moment that my hole was filled. And this man healed me so beautifully, I can't tell you. It's just you come with no expectation, but you come with expectation. And you just allow the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of Jesus to renew you, heal you, because it's not the man, it's the Spirit of God who does that. The pastor is the vessel, but he's very, very, he's the most kind and pure person that I've met in any walk.
Wow.
And very powerful too. So he's a powerful vessel for God. So I would encourage everyone to find that journey, because for me, that's where I found truth. And I've been searching for truth. Believe me, Mimi, UFO, aliens, like I've been down every rabbit hole you can think of.
I love it.
I've been to UFO conference. I've like, honestly, you name it, I've been down every rabbit hole, and there's nothing there. It's emptiness. For me, and I'm pretty sure for everyone else too. But as you say, everyone's on their own journey, and we just hold space. We hold space for when they're ready to come, and when they're ready to come, the Holy Spirit is waiting for them, and will touch them and do the rest. It's beautiful to watch. The transformation is beautiful to watch, truly.
How has your life changed since you discovered and built this relationship with faith?
Oh my goodness.
Tangibly, like what is different?
Okay, so the really beautiful thing is that God, there are two kingdoms, the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Satan. And I'm putting it very, very simply. If you're not in the kingdom of God, then inadvertently you're in the other kingdom. And that kingdom is pain, torture, all sorts of problems. It's a transaction. Everything is a transaction. You
Conditional.
get conditional. You get healing, but there's a price to pay. You get money, but there's a price to pay. You get a relationship, but there's a price to pay. There's always a price to pay. But in God's kingdom, it's unconditional. And on top of that, you get benefits. And the benefits are priceless. You get joy, which is a state of being. You get peace, which is a state of being. You get love, which is unconditional. You get wisdom. It's also a state of being. It's not how many books you can read, or it's a state of being. And if you're really lucky, you'll get some of the other gifts, which is prophecy, which we call intuition. So you get to have discernment, understanding. So you can see things more clearly. When your mind's eyes opened, you just see things more clearly, and you're able to operate at a different level. Blessings just come. When you are ready to serve and give your life to God's work, blessings just come. Everything. It's abundance. This is one of God's blessings. Abundance is one. He doesn't want you to be poor. He wants you to be abundant in every area of your life. And when we get that, I think one of the biggest challenges for people that I've spoken to is, well, if God exists, then why is the world so messed up?
It's a legit question.
It's a really legit question. But in order to answer that, we need part two, because there's a whole foundation that needs to be established, which goes back to the garden and Adam and Eve and what happened there. It's not God who's creating evil in the world, it's someone else. And when we understand that, we know that the more we have a relationship with God, the more we are in that state of being untouchable.
Beautiful. Great explanation. Thank you for that. So you've recently become a pastor.
I have.
So cool.
Which I still have to think, wait, me? How did that happen?
You're here to serve.
Do you know what?
Now you've become a beautiful vessel for that, right?
Right? I think that's what...
I mean, you have been doing that in many ways. But
no, but I think that's what all of us need to do, is as soon as we're ready to serve and obey. And by the way, obeying is the hardest part. Is you hear the voice of God, but then you don't obey. You go and do your own thing anyway. That's the hardest. Once you learn to obey and you surrender your will.
I was just going to say, and that is the surrender part, right?
Yeah. Right? And if you think about, do you know the Our Father prayer? Our Father who art in heaven, the prayer that Jesus shared with us. Yes. We all say it in church. I said it since I was little, not knowing what it meant. But it says, let thy will be my will. And I say that every day. Whatever is going to happen today, let my will be your will. So that we're in tune with each other and we can flow together. And that's surrendering. Simple as that. It's beautiful.
What a journey you've been on, and so much more to come in the years.
It's truly wonderful. It's truly wonderful. And you feel held and comforted and safe and secure. And I think, I don't know how men feel, but I know as a woman, that's what we want. We want to be held. And be safe and secure. That's how you feel. You just feel held and safe and secure.
I feel like we all need that in our lives.
Right?
So it's about cultivating that and allowing it to become a part of our life, like a regular part of our life, our relationship with the Creator.
It's a knowing. It's not a thinking, it's a knowing. When you know it, it then infuses every fiber of your being. Every cell then knows it and works in alignment with every part of you.
It's like unblocking, because like you said, we are already, all of us are children of God.
We're children of God. He created us. So we just have to go back to the Creator and have a relationship with Him. And that's all He wants. He wants us to choose Him, to love Him as He loves us.
Act like the light, right? Always act like the light. Right? Yeah, that's my own mantra is always, whenever I go through anything, I'm like, act like the light. Yeah. Because what else is there? Like you said, you choose the other path, you go into the suffering and the pain. So you want to be in this camp, you act like the light. No.
It's not a good. And then, your desires become your ruler and you become helpless in that. So it's it was really interesting that I was thinking about this the other day, that actually money has a god. It's called Mammon. And when we worship that god, we can't worship God, the Creator. None of the others are creators. They're just entities. So when we worship money or whatever, we're actually worshipping an entity, and then we lose the path. There's nothing wrong with money. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't worship it. Only worship the Creator.
Thank you for the reminder. And maybe to wrap the podcast episode, I'm curious, because I find that I've been going through a big life transition with my separation, and for the first time moving into my own, like living on my own with a child, but still like in my own house and not with a man. I find that a lot of people around me right now are going through life transitions, big life transitions, whether they're deciding to move to other countries or change their career path. What advice and wisdom do you have for someone who is right now in the midst of a storm as they go through their life transition?
It's such an interesting question, Mimi. And honestly, I would say find silent moments.
Love that.
So when you're going through a transition, it's really important to find yourself. So quite often when we're uncomfortable, we tend to keep ourselves busy with so many things.
I can relate to that.
Right? So can I. So can I. It's distractions. So you distract yourself with people, with events, with dinners, with also, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you don't want to cope. You don't want to be isolated. You want to have a really good community that you can go to. But at the same time, you must carve out time just for you and yourself, so that you can, within that time, speak to God and let Him direct you and have a relationship with Him. So that's super, super important. Number two, which I don't need to tell you, is gratitude, is that you're grateful for it. And then surrender.
That part I'm still working on.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler than you think. When you surrender everything to God, then you've got nothing to worry about. The only reason why we're anxious and we suffer is because we're time traveling into the future.
Yeah.
What's tomorrow going to look like? Who cares? Focus on the right now. Focus on this moment. What does Mimi need right now? And I mean, Jesus said, do not be anxious for tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own issues. Just focus on today, and not even at 3:00, right now.
This moment.
This moment.
The power of now, right?
All your anxiety will go. That's surrender. Surrender is, I don't need to worry about a thing, because I know whatever happens, the Creator has me. I don't need to worry about it. As soon as I start going into the future, I bring myself back and I'm like, no. Now is all you need to worry about. Later is later.
And ultimately, that is having faith.
It's having faith. And faith is not a thought. It's a substance. So all of these things, they are states of being. They are not, I have faith in my mind, or I have peace in my mind. No. They are substances, states of being that you walk into when you have a relationship. It's that simple. It's gifts. He said, I will give you these gifts. So it's like when you start a new job and you get medical, dental, holidays, all of these things, they come with the job. So as soon as you accept the job, you get all the benefits. And it's wonderful, really, really wonderful. That's how you get to that state. It's not me doing it. He's doing it. I just receive it and accept it.
And I think it's allowing to receive, which again, for many people, is a journey in itself.
Right.
And with awareness, we can allow it.
Awareness and delusion.
Yeah.
So many people walk in delusion. Delusion is blindness.
I think thanks for bringing it to my attention and everyone who is listening. That's why I asked you for the tangible examples, because again, even that word can be perceived in so many different ways. But I feel like you've explained it so well.
Yeah.
And I'll be also aware of asking myself that question
daily. Living in a world that is full of lies. And it's really important to be able to see those lies, because we are the perpetrator of those lies. So as soon as we can say, okay, what's the truth? I'm willing to face the truth no matter what. And who cares? Honestly, who cares? If it's uncomfortable or you're somebody will think ill of you, because ultimately other people's opinions are not important, really. There's only one opinion that's important, and that's our Creator. Everyone else's opinion is nice, but then we're also handing power. So if I care about what you think of me, which I do, obviously, but not to the point where your opinion will then have a power over me.
How you feel and
It's like I always explain it that as a boss who has many people who work, you can relate to that. When you have staff, you have the power to make them happy or sad, right? But they should never give us that power. They should just do their jobs, do it well, and know within themselves that they've done their jobs well, and not look for our validation. Thank you. And that goes for everything in life. You don't have to look for your partner's validation, or vice versa, or friends or family or anyone. You just need to know that you've done your best in every situation. If you haven't done your best, you acknowledge, I could have done better there. I should have done better there. And then you forgive yourself and you move on.
I call this giving myself grace.
And that's exactly what it is.
It's my daily practice, because I used to be so hard on myself because I struggled with perfectionism. And now I have this daily habit whenever I catch myself internally, of course, being really hard on myself. Oh, I really wanted to film this video. I really wanted to do this. I needed to call that person, but I didn't get it.
It's okay.
Pause.
Yeah.
You're a human.
Yeah.
You're doing the best you can.
Exactly.
And just showering myself with this love and kindness, really.
And that's beautiful. That's exactly what I mean, is you forgive yourself and you don't judge yourself. That's also a very difficult thing to do. I'm constantly judging myself. When you stop, you can breathe. It's okay. It's okay.
Beautiful. So much to absorb in this podcast episode. I'm excited to listen to it myself.
Oh,
thank you, Margo.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate everything.
And for allowing me to share.
Absolutely. You should share more. I'll have you again at some point. But thank you again for your presence, for your energy, for the love that you share with the world. Keep inspiring all of us.
Likewise, Mimi. Likewise, Mimi. Thank you so much.